This is John Patterson talking about reflection on my interview with Principal Lance Alexander at Klein Forest High School. Starting off, Mr. Alexander talked about how he gains consensus for his CIP on our campus. And as we talked about in our discussions in our group, he believes that small groups are the best setting to do that. He said it's not a great idea to present these changes, these different ideas in front of the entire faculty, in front of large groups. They typically are less willing to embrace new ideas. So what he talked about is using our master teachers, using our PLCs, using our different small groups, whether it be departments and content areas, to get disseminate that information to those groups is pretty key. The second thing he kind of touched on is the importance of our learning goals, talking about Algebra 1 and English Language Arts. And what he discussed with English is that it wasn't so much an instructional issue or a content issue, it was an EL issue. It was the amount of kids that we have that are struggling to read and write in English, who are English language learners, is really the root of the problem. So what the district and what Principal Alexander came up with is double blocking English 1 for all of our students, and identifying which students needed that extra support in their language acquisition skills, and also double blocking algebra and providing RTI possibilities for those kids. The next thing, and he's currently in the middle of, is he's doing research on student equity, and he calls it failing forward, but on every campus, on campuses across the country, there are a certain percentage of teachers who normalize failure. So teachers they basically stereotype or identify that students can't learn. They live in that fixed mindset. They make excuses for why the students cannot and will not learn. And so just identifying those aspects and training the teachers that every kid deserves to be taught, every kid deserves a quality education, regardless of their will or their skill. And we as professionals need to embrace that love of teaching again. He said sometimes teachers forget why we got into the business. So I believe that was really important. He also talked about cultural responsiveness to a degree, and making sure that all the teachers respond in the appropriate manner, and treat all kids and all teachers and all staff with respect. And then the last part is one of the things that we're doing on our campus at Klein Forest High School is what we call linking walks. And it comes from John Hattie and his visible learning movement. But what's happening is teachers from the high school are encouraged to go into each other's classrooms within content areas. So U.S. history to world geography to world history to U.S. history, the high school content areas to the junior highs to the elementaries, and the same thing from the elementaries and the junior highs to the high schools. It's to promote feedback about vertical alignment. And in doing so, what John Hattie writes about and what he discusses in his professional development is that if you can walk into a classroom and you can see what the teachers are teaching to the students in terms of language, in terms of content, in terms of your relationships, that you'll know whether or not, you'll know what they're learning. So it's a key aspect that we're actually embracing. My department, my content area is actually going to pilot this in the springtime of 2019. But the visible learning walks have a chance to be highly effective and extremely productive. So overall, talking to Mr. Alexander about the direction that our school is heading is actually really progressive. in terms of what we're doing with character education, in terms of what we're doing with our CIP, in terms of what we're doing with RTI. So pretty excited.